Redwood's strength and durability represent the beauty of nature. From decking and siding to pergolas and arbors, redwood lumber, patterns, trim, and timbers elevate any space with enduring warmth and elegance. Building with redwood also benefits the environment. That's because redwood lumber is sourced from Forest Stewardship Council certified timberlands in Northern California that are growing for the future and sequestering carbon dioxide. For redwood architectural specifications, project inspiration, where to buy, and more, please visit getredwood.com. Your homes aren't just built for today, they're built to stand the test of time. And that kind of longevity depends on products you know you can trust, like Andersen Windows and Doors. Andersen products have proven themselves for over 120 years. And while Andersen continues to innovate, one thing that never changes is their commitment to quality. This kind of quality isn't just built, it's proven through time. Home after home, season after season. It's one more reason pros trust Andersen for windows and doors. See product and warranty details at andersenwindows.com. Ian, this is one of the questions on the FHB forum you've been moderating from Joe. Do you want to? We'll put a link on the podcast page, and I'll read Joe's email here in a sec. Do you want to set us up here?
Yeah, Joe's written into the podcast before about this as well. I think he made that comment when I replied to him on the forum, but he's converting a pole barn into a cabin somewhere, I believe in northern Minnesota. So I have to think he's like Randy's neighbor or something. But he's as many of us do when we do our own projects, we go headlong into it, and then we kind of research things as we go, and we get halfway through it and we find out something that would have helped us a month ago, and we're like, yo, what do we do now I know this thing, and I know I did that not to its optimal standard of what I know now. And I think that's a little bit of what Joe was bringing to this forum question.
I'll get to it here. Hi, all. I'm in the process of turning a post frame building into a cabin. As you can imagine, adding framing between the posts for windows and interior walls introduced a lot of wood and thermal bridging potential to the structure. I'd like to do the Bonfiglioli method of adding 1-inch EPS foam to the interior framing and then wood strapping on top of that to break the thermal bridge to the drywall. But with 5.5-inch thick walls plus the exterior girts, it's pretty thick already. I set doors and windows before I learned of this method. My question is about the possibility of adding a modest 1/4 inches thickness of EPS to studs and internal wood surfaces, and simply skipping the strapping as fasteners can easily punch through. Do you think this R1 would make any noticeable thermal break, or is it a pointless venture? I could also run 1/4 inch EPS fully behind the sheetrock, but I'm not sure how that would impact my smart vapor barrier that is vapor barrier's intended purpose. Any feedback would be appreciated. Thanks, Joe. So, Ian, you responded on the forum. What did you suggest to Joe about this? Is a 1/4 inch going to help? Really?
I didn't think that was going to help. Not enough to make it worth doing. And Randy chimed in later with kind of some of the explanation of why. But I thought he really had a couple of options that were things I'd look into. And he could insulate between the girts using spray foam and do kind of a flash and bat method, or he could cut and cobble between the girts, or he could, skip that entirely and just insulate inside his stud cavity and leave that as good enough. The other thing I thought he could do was insulate those stud cavities with rock wool and try and stuff rock wall strips behind the studs that are up against the girts and behind his posts, and just kind of make a big stuffed rock wool assembly. But I'm really interested in what he is also doing for the roof. He hasn't responded to that part of it yet, but I think there's likely a wall to roof tie-in. That's an important part of this consideration as well.
Yeah, because that's the kings of the kingdom. If that space is communicating with the exterior walls, whatever you do in them doesn't matter.
Yep.
Randy,
And
what did you say?
the way that a post frame building is built, that cavity connects up, and he's already furring down his roof framing to create a larger space up there. So I'm interested in what he's putting up there too.
Briefly, how would you suggest detailing that so the roof, vented roof assembly and that wall didn't communicate?
Well, that's kind of what I wonder too, is that actually intended to be vented or is he blocking it off? That's part of it. So if he's venting it, then you have to come up with some kind of baffle. And with it all open like that, I would do some kind of plywood baffle, maybe on the underside of the pole barn trusses to keep wind washing from whatever you put underneath it for insulation. I assume he'd be using Rockwell. That seems to be what he plans on using, but it's kind of up in the air.
Yeah. Randy, what did you tell Joe about this situation?
I probably didn't help him very much. I told him not to use the 1 inch, like Ian mentioned. It's not doing hardly anything. Um, my suggestion was to add a 2x strap, much like the purlins on the outside of the structure. Add that to the interior and insulate between. Put your
Yeah.
vapor retarder on, put the strapping on. You can run your electrical now inside. Problem is now the wall's even thicker, and he didn't want to go that route. So yeah, I didn't help him, but
I think an important question in this conversation is how much is this building going to get used? If
Right.
you're going to
Mhm.
condition it 24/7, yeah, you got to go the whole 9 yards. But if this is an occasional use space, a guest quarters or a shop or whatever that's maybe gets, used dozens of hours a week or less frequently than that,
Yeah.
I think you could overthink this and go too far.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Am I off base?
No, I think that's exactly what he's working through. And like I said, that's the problem that arises when you learn as you're doing and you learn things that maybe you wish you would have known a month ago and you would have done things a little bit differently.
That's every house I've ever built.
Yeah, exactly. It's every job we've ever done. Write that down for next time.
Randy, you suggested the interior girts as a means to decouple a lot of the framing, right? To kind of
Yeah,
solve the thermal bridging problem that he's worried about. Do
yeah.
you foresee the thermal bridging being a sufficient problem that if this was your building, you would worry about it?
It all like you brought up, it all depends on how much it's gonna be used. If it's just a seasonal property, it's gonna be cooled down, uh, you know, 3 months out of the winter, and it's used 1 month out of the winter. It's not that big a deal. But if it's gonna be your vacation or your retirement home, and eventually you're gonna live there, now that you've got a different, you know, set of metrics that you maybe wanna meet. So that
Absolutely.
yeah, so and we don't know the whole story behind that. I think that we can't answer what he wants to do with it, so, yeah.
And if you were really going to nerd out on the calculation of it, Randy, you would want to figure out what the true R value of that wall is by doing a percentage calculation of your full assembly type depth, right? So by putting the strapping on, you're minimizing that thermal bridge to
Mhm.
just an inch and a half of width of that stud against a 3.5 inch wide strapping member on the inside, and
Right.
that's why you're doing what you're doing by decoupling it.
Yeah, and we did this on that barn dominium project that I did a couple of years ago, where we strapped the interior, ran the electrical, and then we filled with a rigid Rockwell product that cavity that was left, and that structure is unbelievably easy to heat, given its size. The owner's really happy, and I would definitely do that again. That worked out quite well.
Mm.
It's the same idea behind a double stud wall, like what I
Yeah,
built on my
basically.
house is you're making the weakest part of the assembly on an R value metric much less weak by decoupling those two walls with a bunch of dense pack in it.
Mhm.
For a utility space, the horizontal strapping makes it super easy to hang stuff, to create build-ins and fasten
Yeah.
them and fasten really heavy things, which is another benefit. But if it's going to be someone's like, vacation quarters, that's not helpful.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to following this. Have you had good success getting other folks to weigh in on Joe's situation here, Ian?
Just Randy. Randy was the first one that I reached out to, kind of half thinking he was Randy's neighbor already in northern Minnesota. Uh,
You
my
thought
my
Randy would
geo
stop by, right?
yeah, yeah, my geography of northern Minnesota isn't good enough to realize the vastness of that space. But no, I have had really good luck reaching out to a lot of different people uh, within the Fine Home Building orbit and extended family to get people to come into the forum and answer some of these questions. It's been
It's
pretty
fun to
rewarding to get people to do that.
it's fun to read people's responses because the audience there is pretty freaking savvy. I gotta say, they
Um,
have good advice, and they can help folks who learn about things last minute to focus on the big
yeah.
picture, which is easy to get distracted, right?
Yep.